Hi, my name is Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to take a look at some of the detailed considerations for the new yacht that Boris Johnson wants to commission in order to impress foreigners enough to give us great post-Brexit trade deals. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So here's the problem for our brain farting Prime Minister. He promised that we'd get great trade deals if we left the EU, but we're getting lousy ones. Liz Truss yet again yesterday was having to talk up the fact that, we've got new trade deals with Norway and Liechtenstein. It's like, no, we don't. We have the same ones we did in the EU. Some of the trade deals we have are even worse. What's the problem? He keeps asking Liz Truss, the cabinet minister who, as I say, is responsible for getting these deals. Well, she responds, Prime Minister, you want these deals quickly, and they all know we're desperate, so they're sticking to their guns. They're not giving us anything. This is a problem, considers Johnson. I need quick trade deals, but I also need good ones. So how to persuade Johnny Foreigner to concede ground to us when we're the desperate side? I know, we'll build a boat. A nice shiny new royal yacht that will knock them bandy. And I'm not even kidding. I may be guessing at the exact wording in this conversation, but that is what has happened. We had an announcement that the government will be commissioning a new royal yacht, naming it after Prince Philip. Tories were then flooding the media with how it's not actually a stupid idea or an expensive white elephant. No. And that foreign dignitaries are always impressed with a posh dinner aboard such a vessel. But then it started to unravel somewhat. See, first of all, the Queen clearly wants nothing to do with this. The palace understands that it's a poor purchase, especially when the government are saying they need to cut back on foreign aid, food for starving British kids, education, healthcare, and actually everything else they're chopping from the budget. It's just not a good look to splash out 200 million quid on a boat when you have to then say, yeah, but we can't afford to feed starving kids. We ain't got enough money. So the palace want nothing to do with it. So it now won't be a royal yacht, and it won't be named after Prince Philip. Bang goes the first part of Johnson's scheme. But then when you consider a few other things, it gets even more ridiculous. See, one defining characteristic of Boris Johnson is that he just fires off ideas and then he expects other people to sort out the details. Like most of us, if we have an idea, and yes, sometimes, and it's a good thing to aim high, it's a good thing to have ambitious ideas because otherwise you'll never do anything. But what you have to do at some point, because when we have ideas, we are the one who has to implement them, even if it's with help, we have to therefore think about feasibility. He doesn't offer up proposals to his officials, then let them work on feasibility before agreeing a plan and then announcing it to the public. No, he just fires them off. He did it as Mayor of London, spending a fortune on plans for things that were never built. Some of them weren't even bad ideas, but he's got no follow-through, no detail. It's just a drunken boast to the media that he then forgets about. And the same thing is likely to be the case here again. David Alan Green, who's an excellent explainer of legal details, and I've talked about him before, came up with a few issues surrounding this yacht idea, in addition to the very obvious resistance from the palace. See, one other issue is the cost. The budget is £200 million, as I say. Now, I've said in the past that when we look at government expenditure for something, it can easily sound like a lot and actually be worthless. You need comparisons, really. You need to break it down. Now, I don't know about boats. I don't know what you can get for £200 million. Sounds like a lot. It might be the best yacht in the world. And indeed, it would probably have to be to impress anyone on this level. But it was pointed out that Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, has just commissioned a yacht for himself at a cost of $500 million. That's about £350 million. So our yacht isn't going to be much more than about half the value of that of a private individual. Yes, sure, one of the wealthiest private individuals, but still, the super wealthy, yes, absolutely can have as much wealth as, let's say, a small country. But a major economy should still be able to outspend them on something. So then I decided to look up some sites with the most expensive yachts in the world. How does it stack up? And okay, yeah, £200 million looks like it would get you into the top 10, just. Assuming that there aren't any more expensive ones coming online at the moment. If anyone other than Bezos, if even two more ultra-rich multi-billionaires have ordered anything like that, then it wouldn't be in the top 10. You know, but it's a long way from number one, which costs, never mind a couple of $100 million, but billions. Because I have to say, even if it is genuinely impressive, I'm not convinced that foreign powers actually concede ground in trade negotiations as a result of a nice meal aboard a fancy yacht. But I'm not an experienced trade negotiator, so let's just say that the right yacht could indeed do the business, in theory. Probably not ideal if it hoves into some foreign port and the reaction is that it? Is the yacht behind that one? What, is that it? But all of that just potentially makes it a white elephant if it's built. But will it be built? See, other things that Alan Green pointed out were that we don't actually know who's building it. Where does the money come from? I don't mean by that, because he does also point out, what if it ends up going to a foreign company again, like our passports. Passports when we were in the EU were made by a British company. Now that we're out of the EU, made by EU companies. It might be the same thing, but I don't even mean that. I mean which department? From the point of view of the general public, see, we can just let these things pass over us. The head of government wants to allocate £200 million to building a non-royal yacht. Okay, he has the authority to do that. We can either approve or disapprove, but if he wants it to happen, it's going to happen. But that's not actually how it works in practice. It is government expenditure, and so a government department has to handle it. Someone has to deal with it. Someone has to have control over the project. So which government department has this project? We don't know. And it's not like you could just pass it to one, because it's likely that no government department will want it. It reminds me a little bit of the episode of Yes Minister from the 80s, which I always say, if you haven't seen, you must see it. When there was a transport project hurtling around different government departments and they all wanted shot of it. Could be the same thing here. First of all, government departments have been told to cut their budgets. This is not something ministers want to do. Yes, Tories love budget cuts, of course, but individual ministers would really rather their colleagues made the actual sacrifices. They don't like cutting their own budget. So no minister is going to want this on their plate. Even if they were to be given an extra £200 million to pay for it, who would bet against this running over budget? Plus, even with the money provided, it's still a headache that will distract them and their senior officials from their actual work. And then what happens when it's built? Where's the money for maintaining it? Who wants to be saddled with that? So it will need to be allocated to a department before anything happens. Ministry of Defence, it's supposed to be crewed by the Royal Navy, so the Ministry of Defence will need to be involved. But a yacht whose purpose is to travel to foreign capitals and serve dinner to get us trade deals, it's got nothing to do with military objectives. And if it has no part in military strategy, it's got nothing to do with the Ministry of Defence. I'd also consider at this point that even if this yacht can do what the Tories claim, it will presumably only be of use for countries with harbours. I don't think it's going to get us much with landlocked countries, is it? Still, it could be argued that our major trading targets all have coastlines, so I'm not going to pick on that too much. But yeah, no military purpose for the yacht, so the MOD are unlikely to want to be saddled with it. The stated objective is for international trade negotiations, so surely it should be for the Department of International Trade. Would the crew then need to be seconded from the MOD? Well, what if this wasn't possible at some point, or the Defence Secretary had a bit of a spat with the International Trade Secretary and wouldn't bring them forwards? Plus, the Department for International Trade aren't likely to have much knowledge of maintaining boats. So will it go to the department that will be using it, but doesn't know how to pilot or maintain it? Or does it go to the department that knows how to maintain it and actually move it around the planet, but doesn't have any use for it? I mean, the initial premise was silly enough, that we would get better trade deals by having a posh boat, assuming it is posh. As far as I was concerned, the whole project should have been scrapped at that point. At the point at which someone in a room said, I know how we can get better trade deals, we'll build a boat. I'm just going to stop you there. That's not going to work. But it carried on. I can't imagine an idea like this would get very far on Dragon's Den, put it that way. But the more you consider the finer details, the more it becomes even more ridiculous. I might even worry that it's another thing that's going to make us look very silly on the world stage. But then I remember Boris Johnson's track record. Remember his grand announcements so far? He was going to build a garden bridge in London. He was going to build a floating airport. He was going to build a bridge between Scotland and Ireland. Then it was going to be a tunnel. Now it's going to be a load of tunnels with a roundabout under the Isle of Man. I actually don't even know where that's gone now. So he'll probably just do what he always does, spend millions on a feasibility study, giving some work to otherwise unemployable Tories, and then decide that it's not worth it after all. We'll still have wasted a load of money, but at least it will be less embarrassing than actually building it. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.